Welcome to Phil Wilson Chats with Celebrities. And here's your host, Phil Wilson.
Memphis powerhouse Casey Johns reached back to her roots for her first release in 2024, Rodeo Queen. She was baptised in soul on Memphis Beale Street and fell hard for the stage, the spotlight and songs that make the world go round. And Casey joins us now to tell us all about her musical journey so far. How are you doing, Casey?
I'm amazing, Phil. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. All the better for seeing you, because after hearing your single Rodeo Queen, we thought we've got to have you on the show and let the world know all about you here, especially up here in the northeast of England, because we do like a bit of country here, and of course the UK does as well.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for spinning the single.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, it's really a breath of fresh air. Now, for listeners who are just discovering Casey Johns, please can you tell us when you discovered you had a talent for singing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started playing guitar when I was 15. My granddad played, and so I kind of just followed in his footsteps. But I've been singing since I was a little kid. Like, I just always loved to put on concerts on my mom's coffee table. And I mean, I've always was singing. And so my mom started getting me into singing at church. So sang at church for a while. And then, as every kid and young artist always does. And then when I was about 16, 17, my mom started taking me to Nashville, and I just fell in love with the Nashville scene. And so I went back home to Memphis. I started a band, and then before you knew it, we're traveling the world. So
absolutely amazing. And you've come so far as well in such a short period of time. Now, were you a performer at school?
Say that one more time.
Were you a performer at school?
When did I perform at school?
Yeah, did you perform at school? Were you a performer?
A little bit, yeah. I used to do a bunch of talent shows when I was a kid. And then 9th through 12th grade, I was actually homeschooled. So I started the road very, very early. And my mom, and we just would get on the road with my mom, and we'd be in her Suburban, and we'd travel all over, and she'd take me to shows. And so
yeah, so you started very, very early. Now, are you from a musical family?
Kind of. My mom used to sing in a band when she was young, but I'm my sister kind of sings a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty much the only one that just kind of took it to a different level.
And what was the first song you ever wrote, if you can remember? Oh
my gosh, the first song I ever wrote, was probably a song called "Riddle to My Rhyme," and it's
right.
I bet it's still on YouTube somewhere. You can probably find it somewhere, but yeah, it was terrible.
Are you going to give us a little rendition now? Have you got a guitar there ready?
I do not. I don't even remember how that song goes. Gosh, that was 10 years ago. Probably more than that. Maybe 15, 20 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, everyone will have to search for you there. Casey Johns there. And about 10 years ago, do you think that was? You put that on or longer?
Probably Riddle to My Rhyme probably came out when I was, probably 15, maybe 15 years ago.
Wow, everything that you put on the internet, it just doesn't go away, so someone will find it.
Somebody will find it, I'm sure.
There'll be stuff that I've put on, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know. Oh.
I forgot about that.
They bring it back to haunt you. It never goes away.
No, that's true. Now, has country music always been your passion when you were growing up?
Definitely. I love country music, and I love, obviously, being from Memphis. I love blues music, and I love rock and roll. So, like, musically, I love to take blues and rock and a little bit of country and just combine it all together.
Yeah. And of course, yes, from Memphis there. Yes, a lot of great talent coming from there. And of course, Casey Johns now as well. Now, are you a fan of the Beatles? As I noticed recently on one of your videos, an album cover in the corner. And I think it was on one of your YouTube shorts I saw it on.
Oh, man. Huge Beatles fan. Yes, absolutely. I mean, they just created the avenue for rock and roll. And I think everybody is a fan of if you're not, I mean, you're crazy. Like, they're amazing.
That's right. Yes, you're definitely from a different planet if you're not a fan of the Beatles. I can agree with that one. Now, which stars have inspired you over the years?
Oh, wow. So I grew up listening to a lot of Sheryl Crow, a lot of Stevie Nicks, a lot of Shania Twain. I grew up around a lot of different types of music. My mom always had vinyls laying around the house. So, I mean, not even that. I grew up on a lot of Led Zeppelin, Otis Redding, Springsteen. So I just had all
Wow.
types of music. So I was named after Casey and the Sunshine Band. So my mom was a big disco.
Oh, right.
Yeah, my
Wow.
mom, she
Amazing.
loved disco, so she loved anything you could dance to. So obviously, I'm a huge disco fan too. So I just was surrounded by so much music.
Excellent, excellent. Now, can you remember where the first gig was that you did? Where were you? Where did you
My
perform first?
my first gig. So I grew up rodeoing with my parents. So I would imagine my first gig was probably singing at a rodeo. I used to have
Right.
like one of Garth Brooks mics
Oh,
and a
yes, yes.
guitar, and they would just send me out into the middle of the arena, and I would put on like a 20-minute intermission show.
Excellent. A
I'm sure you
great
can find
start.
that on YouTube as well.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to have a look at that. I haven't had a look at that while I was doing the research, but I will probably come across it at some point. I probably haven't
No,
searched
no.
enough.
It was like 15, 20 years ago. You don't want to look at that. That was a long time ago. Don't
Just
look
when
at
you were
those.
starting out. Oh, I bet you it's great. I bet you it's great. Now, on another note, I hear you followed in your mom's footsteps and gave barrel rolling a go, and she was a world champion. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, she was very, very good at what she did. I just kind of followed in her footsteps. Obviously, I chose music as a career because both expensive hobbies right there. So
Yeah.
she was a barrel racer and she taught me everything I knew about barrel racing and how to speak to a horse. And she was just that one person that was just she was a horse whisperer. Like she knew everything about horses and she just had that talent. And then my stepdad was a bull rider and they fell in love and that's how Rodeo Queen kind of came about.
Amazing. Now, would you consider giving it a go, being a bull rider, like a stepdad?
A bull rider? Absolutely not.
Because you've seen what happens.
Whew. No, I don't. I can't imagine what those men. They do a lot to their bodies when they do that. I don't know how they do it.
Definitely, definitely, and you see them. People fall on the floor and they're like just rolling out of the road of the bull's feet. It's like, no, not for me either.
Nope. Yep. Not for us.
No, I bet your dad was well insured.
Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he still is.
Excellent. Yes, definitely a bit of a danger there. My goodness, yes. Keep away from the bulls. Yes, especially
Oh
when they
yes.
breathe in smoke out the nose and scratching the feet on the floor. Now, when did you decide that you were going to be a country singer? As I hear you packed your bags up in Memphis and headed for Nashville.
I did, yeah. So, like I said, 16, 17, my mom started taking me to Nashville and I just kind of started going down on Broadway. I thought that was like where you're supposed to be. And so I went down there with my guitar and started asking if I could sing on stages. And they always were so nice to me. They let me get up and play music. And yeah, and it's crazy doing a full circle because I went back in my late 20s and came back to Broadway and started playing again and we still play on Broadway in Nashville. So it's been really cool to like go, I've just been doing that for so long. So
And you'll have lots of regulars that'll go past you as well, I bet, over the years, that you've been on the Broadway there.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, and it's cool. It's really cool to have seen Broadway grow and how it's evolved and changed. So
That's right. Yeah, lots of people do a lot of like the busking, as it were, on Broadway there, and that's where they can be spotted by all of these, music executives, as it were,
uh,
talent spotters and such. Like,
yeah, for sure.
really, really good. It has developed very, very well there. Now, I hear you featured in Dolly Parton's Christmas Coat of Many Colours at Dollywood. Was that on TV?
So this was one of her Christmas Coat of Many Colors. It's a movie, and I don't know. I think
Oh, the movie. Wow.
yeah, you probably never see it. I'm singing in a tree, so
Right.
it's like there, we basically. So I used to sing at Dollywood in 2016, and so that's how I got the opportunity to be in the film. But yeah, we're
Wow.
basically on a huge Christmas tree, and it's just all of the singers on the park got to be a part of it. So it was really fun.
Because I was thinking, were you in the film, or was it? Because I think Dolly Parton does a Christmas, or she did a Christmas show. Was it on NBC or something like that that I spotted?
Yeah, I don't even know where it was streamed, but I know that you can look up I think the song was called "Circle of Love," and I think
Oh,
you can
lovely.
look that up on YouTube too.
All right. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll have to hunt that out for the playlist there, I think, Casey. Excellent stuff. Now, did Dolly give you any help and advice when you were working with her?
Well, I never really got to, work with her directly. So, no, I wish I could have. I will say this, she is super tiny. She is so
Yeah.
small. So yeah, it was just amazing. And she was so nice to everyone there on set and just super, super kind. So that's really all you can ask for, especially if you're pretty far from her.
Yeah, you do pick that up even when she's on a television interview or whatever. You can actually pick up, the nice vibes from her, and that she's quite kind and, very nice lady.
Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward to 2022 when you released your debut album, Thunder, on Southern Sky Records. How long did it take to write and record?
I think I wrote for the Thunder record for about a year.
Right.
And maybe 2 years actually. We started just kind of putting a catalog together, and I just kind of started writing with just stuff that was going on in my life. And then I met Billy Smiley, who was the producer for the Thunder record, and he and I wrote together a lot on the song, on the whole record actually. And yeah, it was super fun. He produced it, and yeah, it was a fun process to put that record together.
It is a big record as well. Lots of great tracks on there. I mean, Confused is a great single. And also there's a cover of the Neil Sedaka written song Desperado features too. What are your highlight songs from the album? Or are you going to say they're all my favourites?
I like them all. No, I definitely have some of my favorites. Wrong Time to Goodbye was probably one of my absolute favorites because it really represents what I do. It represents a lot of rock and roll vibes, and so I think I definitely love that. But then also with a strong pedal steel, so it's got rock and roll, it's got bluesy, raspy vocals, and it's got country. So that
Yeah.
song definitely shaped what I do now. So that was a lot of fun to write. I wrote that with Billy. And then one of my other favorites was probably Black Dog by Led Zeppelin. We got to do a cover of that, so that was really fun.
Yes, that is a really good tune as well. I have heard that one as well on the album there, on a little preview there. Now, I'm Always Me When I'm With You is another fabulous song. Who is the other vocalist on the track? It sounds amazing because when I was looking through the album, actually on iTunes, but other brands are available, when I had a look there, it didn't have a credit of who else was on the track, and it does sound beautiful.
Oh man, that was such a pretty song. I wrote that with Billy as well. Billy actually did the harmonies on that, and so
Right.
that was actually kind of full circle. It's so funny when we wrote that song, my voice was completely shot. I had just gotten off the road, and I was just exhausted. And when we came to write this ballad, they put me in the studio to cut like a work tape, and so the
Right.
actual vocals that you hear are the vocals from that day that I was just completely hoarse and completely shot. But it turned
Wow.
out to be my favorite vocal track that we cut because it was a very just raw and just kind of a moving performance that I just didn't want to get rid of. Everything else that I had recorded after that was a little bit too polished, and I just wanted all that stuff that you'd hear me sing on the road. I wanted it to sound just like that. So that was a really fun process to record that song.
Definitely. Well, the next thing I'm going to say is about to do with vocals a bit. Whiskey break. Maybe you needed a whiskey break, which was
Don't we
featured in
all?
an yes, exactly, which was featured in a nationally distributed documentary. And you've gone on to create your own bourbon whiskey with your name on it. Please, can you tell us how that deal came along?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whiskey deal was really cool. Our brand manager at the time came to me and he said, "Hey, what are two things that you're interested in? What would you like to be a part of?" And I said, "Skincare and whiskey." And
Yeah,
skincare didn't do that well, but the whiskey blew up. So I guess everybody
excellent.
loves whiskey. So, but that was a really cool process. I partnered with a company out of California called Cali Distillery, and they helped me just create the whole process. I got to choose the design. Obviously, we named it Thunder after the record because I'm hoping
Yeah.
if we do another record, I'd like to create another brand of whiskey and name it after that record.
Wow, that'll be
So that
good.
could be really fun. Yeah, but it's a very smoky mesquite bourbon. I got to choose the flavor, and yeah, we went months trying new flavors and kind of explaining what I like in whiskey. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of I hope everybody likes it. It's very smoky though. It's like sitting by a campfire.
Well, that's what people like. Yes, yes, yes. I could imagine that taken off very, very well. And I believe that it's available where you are via mail order. So people may have to get themselves over to your website. It's caseyjohns.com. Is that right?
CaseyJohns.rocks. Pretty close.
.rocks. Sorry, yeah. caseyjohns.rocks.
.com was already taken, so I took .rocks.
Oh, .rock sounds a lot better. And by the way, listeners, a lot of people can get a lot of merchandise off that website because I did do a little browse through there. So yeah, get yourself over there.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Now, you have played over 200 shows since 2023, which must have been exhausting to say the least. Which of all of the events or performances stands out as a night to remember?
Oh wow. I think opening up for Lainey Wilson was probably one of my favorites. We got to share the stage with her over at
Wow.
Idaho last year. And it was watching her show is just incredible. She's such a great entertainer and she's just so full of energy. And she's just very, very inspiring. And so I really appreciated that. That was definitely a night to remember. She told stories on stage. And I think connecting with her on that type of level is something that we all want to do when we go see a show. And so I really hope that I get to do that, and just connecting with people. I think that's really important. But that was definitely a night to remember.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it is nice when you go along and see a show. I went to see, was it like an indie rock band kind of thing called Shed 7, and the gentleman who is on stage there, Rick Witter, the lead singer, he was talking with the audience and getting a little bit of humour going, and you can really connect with the audience that way, and then it makes for a better performance for the audience as well as for yourself, kind of thing, because you feel more relaxed. Do you find that, Casey?
Absolutely. I think it's so important to connect with the people that come to see your show and then people that have never even heard of you before. I mean, if you show your true personality and you're genuine on stage, people will connect with that for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to wear your heart on the sleeve, as it were. Yeah, because everything gets found out in the wash later, if you're not white as white with yourself. Yeah. Now, your new single, Rodeo Queen, is an amazing single, as I have mentioned many times there, because it is absolutely amazing. The single was produced by session player and producer Smith Curry, who has worked with Willie Nelson, Taylor Swift, Maren Morris, Dolly Parton, Pharrell Williams, Kid Rock, to name but a few. What was it like getting the news?
So it's crazy. A friend of mine, who's another great artist in town, he recommended Smith to produce a couple of songs for me because we were looking for a new guy, and I just wanted a different sound. And I went and had coffee with Smith, and we just hit it off instantly. We knew, he loves rock and roll music, and I love rock and roll, but I also love country, and so does he. So we just really connected on that musically. And I said, man, I feel like Rodeo Queen would be the perfect song to bring to you and have you produce it. And it was the very first song we did together. And so it was magic from the beginning.
Yeah, it's nice to have that connection, isn't it? People know when you're on the same wavelength, so you know what your aims are for your track and things. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
It's nice to find people that will speak your language and try to, really understand what you want, especially in a producer. If they find where your heart is, and it just makes for a great team.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Now, the song was written with you, Brett Trout and Tim Angston. Did you have an idea of what you were looking for in the song before going into the writing room?
Kind of. So Tim Angston he's my bass player. He's in the band, so he and I write together a lot. Brett was actually this was the first time we'd ever written with him. So it was, and he's just extremely talented, great lyrically. And then Angston's so great musically that it just really made a really good team. And so when I came into the room, I said, I threw out this idea for Rodeo Queen and they just loved it. So we just started spitballing ideas and and then the song had breath and had air and it just was so much fun to write. And we kind of kept with the Southern rock kind of vibes when we were just playing it acoustically. And then it became like this huge rock and roll country song.
Yeah, it's an upbeat rocking song filled with country steel and roaring guitars. Is Rodeo Queen named after you, as you're a hot rockin' country queen?
Actually, it's named after my mom. It was her love story.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I found this old pamphlet of my mom back in the 70s. It said like 1976 or something. And she was on the front cover and she had her crown on and she had her cowgirl hat on. And it said Rodeo Queen. And I thought, man, I would really love to tell her story and, really put out there, the rodeo world that I grew up in and really share this story with people. And it's been amazing to watch people connect to it.
Yeah, and it all comes through on the lyrics there as well. Yes, I thoroughly enjoy that. Yeah, everyone will hear the story there through the record Rodeo Queen. Now, you are continuing an aggressive touring and recording schedule. Please, can you tell us about any future album or tours that are coming up for Casey Johns?
Absolutely. We have a huge schedule for next year. I think we might be making our way to the UK next year, so that'll be super fun.
Oh, wow.
I think May and November, so that'll be a blast. And then we've got like 3 singles coming out next year. So the first one will be out in February.
Excellent. So we'll watch for that dropping in the inbox there and giving that some airplay on the radio.
Yes.
Now, yes, of course we can. We love it. Where can listeners follow you and buy your music?
Yeah, you can. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music, but you can go to kcjohns.rocks, and you can see the tour schedule. You can check out some merch. You can see all the new videos we've got coming out, and then obviously follow me on all socials.
Yeah, and you've got lots and lots of things going on there regularly on your social media there. So everyone get yourself onto the socials there with Casey Johns. Now, you mentioned a little bit the word vinyl. Now, that actually ties in with this question. Now, the vinyl revival is here, so I must ask you, what was the first vinyl record you have ever bought, and what record would you play me if you had a record player beside you now?
Yeah, I think the first record I ever bought was probably a George Strait record. He was my first concert. And of course, when I was growing up, it wasn't really vinyls, it was cassette tapes, right? So I would got a cassette tape. And then when I got a little older, vinyl started coming back. And then I think the first one I actually bought was a George Strait record.
Was it? And what track would you play me? If you said, Phil, this is my favourite song.
Carrying Your Love With Me is probably my favorite George Strait song.
Beautiful. And is it something that touches the heart with you?
Oh, absolutely. Obviously I love rock and roll, but man, there's nothing like a good ballad to just put you in your feels.
Definitely. Yeah, great choice there, Casey. Now, I just can't believe it. We've run out of time already. Just as quick as that. Yeah, already. So, Casey, if you could please hang around, please, because I'm going to have a chat with you afterwards. But I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me on the show this week. It's been such a privilege. And I'd like to wish you all the very best for 2025. And would you like to come on the show again, or have I frightened you away?
Well, of course, Phil. I would absolutely love to. Thank you so much for the support and spinning Rodeo Queen. It means the world to me.
No problem at all. Well, finally, Casey, could you introduce, please, your latest single, Rodeo Queen?
Absolutely. Hey, guys, I'm Casey Johns, and you're listening to Rodeo Queen.
Thank you so much, Casey. All the best, and we'll speak to you soon.
Awesome. Sounds good.